whatever is happening now in Florida and I guess all over America and all over the world makes us think. But first of all, we are praying, of course, for our friends and families and even for those whom we do not know in Florida or any other place of the world, that God may protect them and give them safety. And this liturgy is for them, dedicated for them. But back to this gospel, and we heard it twice now, today and last Sunday, and as you all know that, as I told you also, is that the church repeats these readings as the end of the Coptic year comes near, and tomorrow will start the new year. Some lessons, I guess, learned, or some reminders, because we all know it, but just reminders, is that everything has an end. Everything in this life changes. We are taught this from nature, from our bodies, from whatever is surrounding us. Nothing should be fixed all the time. The human nature likes to have things as is all the time. We like stability. We like to maintain status quo for most areas in our lives. And God reminds us that there are changes. There are changes that happen to our life, whether we seek it or it's forced upon us. But we have to adapt to change. But through all of this, the nature's roar and the hurricanes, there are like few verses I would like to remind us all before I just resume the talk about change, because He is in control. Even if there is a change that is forced upon us, He is in charge. In Proverbs 8, He said that when He set for the sea its boundary, so that the water would not transgress His command, when He marked out the foundations of the earth. God made boundaries for nature. In Jeremiah, do you not fear me, declares the Lord? Do you not tremble in my presence? For I have placed the sand as a boundary for the sea, an eternal decree, so it cannot cross over it. And listen to this. There's an eternal decree by God that nature will not cross over those limits and boundaries that God has established for them. So whatever is happening now, whether from nature or whether in our own lives and in our personal life, in His plan for your life and for nature, He has set boundaries that they should not be trespassed. He is in control of my life. In Psalm 65, who stills the roaring of the seas, the roaring of their waves, and the tumult of the peoples? In another psalm, you rule the swelling of the sea when its waves rise. You still them. In Psalm 107, He caused the storm to be still so that the waves of the sea were hushed. And in Matthew, finally, chapter 8, He said to them, why are you afraid, you men of little faith? Then He got up and rebuked the winds and the sea, and it became perfectly calm. Perfectly calm. And this is the role of faith in our life. Now we will see the hurricane is approaching. We see the news. We are glued to the TV. Many of us have property in Florida or in other places. We worry, we fear, and it is our right, but then we need to come back to our faith, our anchor, that despite the fear, despite all the signs, my God, it is not a surprise for him. He may be, and he, not maybe, but he orders the winds, the sea, the water, and the people in my life. He has boundaries for them. But what should I learn? Is that I need to welcome change. And change comes at a price. Life is about change. And if we refuse change, we refuse life. I guess this is the lesson I am learning, is that change is evident, and it's inevitable, and it is coming. And sometimes the power of change is much greater than the power of staying the same. So yes, we need to have some balance between our preference to have everything stable, the same, my job, my work, my family, the world, the nature, the wind, the sea. But if there is no change, there is no growth. If there is no change, there is no hope. And because of our nature, God knows our nature, many of the changes in our life is forced upon us. Yes, it is forced upon us. By people, again, by nature, but in our own mindset, we need to be open to change. It is not a surprise to God that these are happenings. And suffering in life, it's not a surprise to God. And maybe the end of the world, the signs of the end of times, it is happening now. It has been happening for centuries ago. Nobody knows when the end of the time will really come. But we are ready for change. And start by being ready for change in your own life. And seek the will of God. Seek His Spirit. Seek His wisdom. Seek His guidance. Seek and invite Him to take control over the storm that, whether in your life, in your own mind, in your heart, or the storm that is outside of you. But we need to gain wisdom from everything that happens around us. And I believe one of the greatest wisdoms is that accepting change. Accepting change and requesting change for His glory in your life, for His calling upon your life. Maybe God doesn't want us to believe in things anymore. Maybe God doesn't want us to take comfort in what we have from property or belongings. These are subject to change. We know it in theory, yes, but when it comes in practice, in reality, we are shocked. But we shouldn't be, because He told us, and everything around us tells us that change happens every day. So again, I guess these are just random thoughts about what's going on these days. We are praying for everyone who is being affected by any kind of storm in his life, whether nature or whether man-made storm. And we should dedicate this liturgy and next week to pray for everyone in the face of change. But in the same time, we need to work our minds and search our hearts and discern what God would like to change in my life. And let me be open to that, even if it's against the norm, even if it's against the common practice or the habits of my culture. But change is inevitable. To him all glory forever. Amen.